Hey friends, welcome to our Midweek Moment. Pastor Nicole here. So glad you joined us. Well, have you ever had an experience where something just keeps coming up in your life? So let me explain. This past weekend, I preached on the golden rule, and we talked about what does the golden rule mean and how is Jesus calling us to use it in our life. But about a week before I preached that, and I'd written the sermon, but nobody knew what I was preaching on in my family, that conversation came up among the four of us, and we were talking about what does the golden rule mean, and how do we treat other people the way that we want to be treated. After I preached my sermon on Sunday, my church council chair came up to me and said, "You stole my material." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I was planning to do a devotion tomorrow night at our meeting on the golden rule. I had no idea you were going to preach on it." And I said, "Well, God must want us to hear it, so bring it." And we shared in that at a church council meeting. So within the span of about, I don't know, half of a week, I had 3 different situations bring the golden rule to my mind. And I thought, okay, Lord, I hear you, and I'm really trying to listen to what you're telling me. I wanted to share just a couple of things about the golden rule that I didn't get a chance to talk about in the sermon. The first is that I often hear people say, well, I'm treating them like they treated me. So if they were treating me with the golden rule, I'm treating them back with the golden rule. And I'm like, that's not how that works, right? We see a lot of this maybe among our younger people here at church, that kind of more of a retaliation sort of mentality of they treated me this way, so I'm treating them that way. And that's not the golden rule at all. The golden rule is asking us to treat others how we would want to be treated. And maybe I would even stretch to say we need to treat other people how they want to be treated, because we all want to be treated maybe a little differently. I often think of the differences of my husband and I, just as I'm an extrovert and he's an introvert, and how there are certain situations that he would like to be treated differently than I would choose to be treated, simply based on our personality types. So I think that's really important for us to think about. Treat other people how we want to be treated. Jesus is just saying, if you want respect, if you want to be treated with respect, you should respect others. If you want to be treated with love, you should love others. He's not saying we have to do everything for somebody else the exact way we want it done. It's just a generality, right? That we should be treating others how we want and expect to be treated by others. The other piece that I just wanted to talk about a little bit came up when I was talking to somebody after the sermon, and they brought up kind of like, well, how far is too far when you're following the golden rule? In other words, like, is it okay to draw boundaries in your life? Or do you always have to treat somebody the way that you want to be treated? And to that, I would say, I think Jesus is cool with boundaries. So if there's somebody in your life that repeatedly is treating you wrong, and you repeatedly try to treat them the way that you want to be treated, and you just keep finding yourself kind of run over by them, it's okay to put up a boundary. It's okay to make a space for yourself and to say, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm not going to allow you to do that to me, or I'm going to have to remove myself from this relationship because you're taking advantage or you're harming me in some way. So I think it's important for us to remember that. So if you think of maybe a spouse who's being abused, and they think to themselves, well, the golden rule says I should treat them the way I want to be treated. And so, I shouldn't leave them. I should stick by their side. I should continue to love them. And I don't think that that's how Jesus would want us to handle that situation. I think he would want us to put up boundaries, and really, that is loving the other person, right? Putting up a boundary is loving the other person in a way that you would want to be loved, because sometimes we need boundaries in our lives. A lot of times we need boundaries in our lives. So the golden rule is not a free pass to allow other people to run you over or abuse you in some way or take advantage of you. That's not what Jesus is talking about here. What Jesus is talking about is that we should just simply treat other people with love and respect, whether they're the same as we are, whether they are different than we are. It doesn't matter. We should treat other people with respect. And that is a real challenge because we all know people who just kind of take a little extra patience from you, right? They're just maybe a little harder to love or to interact with. And those are the times that Jesus is saying, hey, you would want that person to have patience with you. You need to have patience with them. So the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's how I memorized it as a child. It sticks in my brain. I think it's something we really need to think about. I think it's very pertinent today. I had a lot of people on the way out of church on Sunday be like, were you preaching that to me? or I really felt like God was talking to me through your sermon. And I had to say, yeah, me too. I mean, I've heard it 3 times this week in 3 different situations. Clearly, God is trying to get my attention. So if you're trying to figure it out, trying to do your best, no, I am right there with you. It is a challenge to think about the golden rule and how we're going to live it out in our lives, especially on days that we're tired and we don't have a lot of patience and we're frustrated. Those are the days that we have to work super hard. So just keep that in mind. Maybe and take on the challenge I shared at the end of the sermon to think of one person in your life that you can expand your circle of love to include. Think of the best thing you could do for that person and then go and do it. So I hope you will consider that this week, pray about that this week, see where God leads you. And I hope you know that you are loved and that we're all in this together. We are not doing this alone, thank goodness. So I hope you'll join us this weekend as we kick off Holy Week with Palm Sunday, one of my favorite Sundays of the year. You're not going to want to miss that. And then we've got special services all next week for Holy Week. So check in on that. We hope to see you whether in person or online. And I hope you have just a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.